And welcome back to another episode of Dogs on the Couch, where everybody's allowed to have an opinion. It does not matter if you play the game you are watching. So you're allowed to have an opinion as well. First and foremost, please like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, subscribe. It's free of charge, doesn't cost you a thing. Not only that, helps grow the channel. It also pushes videos like this into the algorithm so that like-minded people may have a chance to view them also. We set our first goal here at Dogs on the Couch. We would like to accumulate 100 subscribers, and you personally can help us out by becoming family and hitting that subscription button. I greatly appreciate it. Now, with that being said, let's get into it. More blockbuster whirlwind trades have occurred. However, for this particular video, there are two things that I would like to speak about. Number one, first and foremost, let me get this one out of the way. Dean Wade signs a 4-year, $39 million deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. Way to go, Dean Wade. I love that for him. I love that for him because he will no longer be in the Cleveland Cavaliers starting lineup, especially in the playoffs. So, yes! Way to go, Philly. I want to thank Philadelphia for that. Way to go. Now, it's something that I'll be upset with Philly about, but for starters, way to go, Philly. Way to see something in Dean Wade there and go ahead and pick that guy up. In hindsight, what you just did I kind of see what you're doing there, but way to go, man. I can't necessarily see that I was just so sad, to see Dean Wade walk out the door. I was more so kind of like, don't let it hit you on the way out, sir. You know what I'm saying? Best wishes to you, though. And ironically, it kind of looks like you may end up being an extremely perfect fit, for where you're headed. For the most part, not too sure if you'll be in the starting lineup, but there's a potential world where you are actually in the starting lineup. And of course, the way that roster is currently constructed, I actually don't think they'll be asking you to do anything offensively. So that will actually be a plus, for Dean Wade, if that is, how it ends up playing out, and if that turns out being the case, where, he actually does start for the 76ers. Respectfully, I just, the way their roster is currently constructed now, I don't think they'll be expecting anything from anything from him on offense. So that seems to be a situation that may end up, working out, great for him. We just recently lost Keon Ellis here. That one not going to say I was too happy to see Keon Ellis go. Mainly because, in my opinion, we what did we really get him for then? We got rid of DeAndre Hunter to get Schroeder and Ellis. However, when we do acquire Keon Ellis, he doesn't he doesn't really end up being used properly, in my opinion, in the playoffs. Whereas you would think, that Hunter would have been a piece that you would have been using, in the playoffs. So you basically essentially traded for a guy that you didn't even really play, and then now he's gone on. Signed with the Brooklyn Nets, 2-year deal. I think worth $18 million. With the Brooklyn Nets. So the one thing that I can say about that in specific, I guess, is I'm happy that Keon is, potentially going somewhere where he'll actually be able to get minutes and not be thrown in one playoff game and play for 2 minutes and then never see the court again. When you got other guys out there laying goose eggs and being a -10 on the court. I just felt like could have used, at least tried to use Keon Ellis, try to justify, the trade, in my opinion, especially if you weren't going to bring him back. Now let's get into the big bomb. Jalen Brown. Really would have liked for the Cavs to go after Jalen Brown, especially considering what it took to actually get this deal to go through. Doesn't seem like it was much. And personally, in my opinion, I would have traded Donovan Mitchell. I gave up Donovan Mitchell. Most people was talking about Evan Mobley. I think that they were saying that that they possibly wanted Evan Mobley. But my thing is, even if you weren't going to give up Evan Mobley, you were steadfast. Well, no, I'm not giving up, Evan Mobley. The Celtics did end up getting Mitchell Robinson. So, that may have satisfied their need for whatever big man they may have been trying to look at. I don't know if they look at Evan Mobley as, good big man or good big man / developmental piece, like both. But I felt like that satisfied their thing with the big man, with Mitchell Robinson. And maybe, if you're just looking for somebody to pair with Jason Tatum, who's not going to necessarily be combative or worry who's the 1A or 1B or any of that type of thing, I feel like Donovan Mitchell would have been great for that. And, not only that, my personal opinion of Donovan Mitchell has kind of soured a little bit after this past season and him having some of those, comments or remarks of, I won at life, and it's just like, okay, we get that. But after we just got, our butts kicked in the playoffs, it's like, I don't want to hear anything about you won at life. Okay, all right, you won at life. The rest of us, we not really necessarily worried about that. We kind of cheer for you and watch you because we want to win at the basketball games. Like, we not just solely cheering for you just because you won at life. That's great, but that you winning at life don't affect my life. If you win at the basketball games that I'm watching, well, then that does affect my life. But you just winning in your own personal life, that's great. I want that for you. However, that don't necessarily have any effect on me either way. So I'm not as concerned about that as you are. And respectfully so. I mean, that's the way that it should be. You know what I mean? You should be worried about that kind of thing. But me as a fan of the Cleveland Cavaliers, well, I can't worry more about Donovan Mitchell winning at life than the Cavs winning basketball games. Because I'm a fan of the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's whether you here or whether you not here, Donovan Mitchell. So I want you to win at life. You feel me? I don't never wish or pray on the next man downfall or nothing like that. But you winning at life, if it's not helping us win these basketball games, bro, well, that's not at the forefront of my thought process like it is yours. So Kobe Altman, who I just feel like is not really hitting the right buttons, not maneuvering the correct way. I believe you could have offered some type of package of Donovan Mitchell and picks, or Donovan Mitchell and some type of package. I ain't gonna necessarily say I would have to think about the Jalen Tyson, but even as much as I love Jalen Tyson, I might even also almost said, okay, well, you know what? I give you Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Tyson, you give me Jalen Brown, or Donovan Mitchell and some picks, and then you give me Jalen Brown. Like, I would at least have to entertain that idea, at least, because what Philly ended up giving up to get Jalen Brown was Paul George, Mr. No Show. Ever since he wanted to call himself Playoff P, he ain't been the same since. So you got Mr. No Show or Podcast P, as some refer to him as Podcast P. So you got that 2028 first round pick that could convert from a first to a swap that is actually more favorable to Boston. You got the 2031 selection, which is an unprotected first round pick. The 2028 second round pick, whichever would be more favorable between the Warriors, the Thunder, and the Bucks. And then the 2030 second rounder, which would be whichever one is the most favorable between the Wizards, Blazers, and the Suns. So essentially, when you sift through all of the garbage, you ended up getting Jalen Brown for Paul George and a first round pick. That's what you got. That's what you got him for. Paul George and a first round pick. Kobe Altman, what are you doing? Now, if it come out later on that you inquired and that you offered something nice or whatever, and that just isn't what happened, they didn't want to go with that. Okay, cool, and all right. Well, maybe I shouldn't have said nothing about that. But as of right now, especially with, all of the stuff that you've been saying and the staying pat and, you didn't re-sign Keon Ellis, so you didn't let him go. I'm struggling to see what exactly you're doing here, Kobe Altman, because before we talk about the very last domino, before we talk about that, even looking at that piece, I think that Jalen Brown, that would be all the more reason to try to get a Jalen Brown, on your roster, especially as opposed to, having a Jalen Brown as opposed to having a Donovan Mitchell. I just feel like the construction of the roster at that point would have been much more, built to compete at a very, very high level, not just this upcoming season, but possibly the season afterwards. Because if I'm not mistaken, Jalen Brown is under contract for the next 3 years, solid. So again, I felt like that would have been something where, you don't necessarily have to worry about the entire thing with Donovan Mitchell and the contract extensions and all that kind of thing. Your Jalen Brown was under contract for the next 3 years. You don't have to worry about it. Last domino. LeBron James, come on home. You need to go ahead, come on back. Come on back, Brian. What else you doing? What else you doing out there? What else you doing for real? What else you doing, bro? What else? People get to talk about, the Golden State Warriors. Go there for what you going there for, Brian? What you going to the Warriors for? You going to the Warriors with Anthony Davis and Steph Curry and Draymond Green? What you going over there for? What are you doing? What are you going to do over there? Let's say he do win the championship there. Let's just say he do win the chip there. They already like to talk about his 2020 championship, call it the Mickey Mouse championship. So if you got to go team up with Steph Curry and Anthony Davis to win another championship, come on, Brian. What you think they're going to say? And I know you good at, you get the narrative spent and all that old kind of stuff or whatever. I know you can kind of do that, but come on, man. That's not it. And then not only that, from the reports of Sham Charania, and some from Rich Paul as well, money into factor. I don't think that geographics is necessarily the factor either. Those haven't been things that were said. What was said was, LeBron was prioritizing, his happiness. Well, he looked pretty happy in Northeast Ohio and surrounding areas when he was here celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the 2016 Cavs NBA title. He looked awfully darn happy in them videos they were showing on the golf courses and all of that type of stuff, he looked mighty darn happy, if you asking me. So, Brian, take that happiness in. Soak it all in. Not only that, what the Miami Heat, that belong to Dean, not Dean Wade. Oh my goodness, that definitely don't belong to Dean Wade. That belongs to Dwayne Wade. That is Wade County. The Miami Heat. What you going there for? You went there already. Remember Pat Riley took your cookies off the plane? So you want to go back over? You want to go back to where they messing with your cookies? That's what you want to do? You want to go back there, Brian? Come on home. The same thing Draymond Green told Paul Pierce that last year of his career, and he was trying to get that farewell tour, and he like, yeah, I don't love you like that. You not Kobe. They don't love you like that. You not Kobe. Brian, them other cities, they don't love you the way. Them other places, man, none of them places love you the way Cleveland do. None of them other spots was burning your jersey when you left because they didn't care that much. Cleveland was the only place. Burnt your jersey, then when you said that you was coming back, they forgot all about it and they dubbed you the Messiah yet again. And then once you delivered on that championship in 2016, from that point on, you could do no wrong, Brian. In the eyes of Cleveland, you could do no wrong. We was like, hey, do you want us to help you pack and go to LA? We'll help put the stuff in the car for you. We appreciate you for getting this championship. The parade was epic. We'll never forget it. I know because I was there. So, Brian, if you searching for happiness combined with a chance to compete for the next couple of years, Cleveland is the clear and obvious choice. And I subtly think that's maybe why, the Cavs haven't necessarily been making any of these big splash moves or anything like that. Because, when you get LeBron on your team, essentially, LeBron becomes the GM. So Kobe Altman going to have to, he can't just get to pulling the strings and doing stuff. He going to have to be like, hey, so LeBron, what do you think? Dan Gilbert going to even tell him. He's going to be like, hey, look, you're going to have to talk to LeBron about that. You want to trade to get who? Oh, yeah, you need to go talk to LeBron about that. See how LeBron feels. And that's what I'm saying. The only excuse, in my opinion, to not go all in and try to land that Jalen Brown to further entice LeBron to want to come here. Like, hey, Brian, look, hey, we got two-way player, somebody to help you out on defense, and he can help take the scoring load off of you, too. Boom, boom. Y'all could be Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen all over again. The two of y'all together like that. With Evan Mobley, there you go. Get you a couple shooters. Just a couple. You got Jalen Tyson in the mix. Oh, man. If you ask me, that's all the more reason you should have went and got Jalen Brown. I'm talking about you really be cooking in. So I'm just praying that, again, the lack of moves and whatnot is strictly because they've been talking behind them closed doors and Brian coming back. Because Brian, come on back. Where else you finna go? Nobody else finna celebrate you the way that we would celebrate you. Not only that, you won't. If you go, let's just say you went to Philly to go team up with Dean Wade and Jalen Brown and Edgecombe and Maxey and Embiid. Let's say you went over there to go team up with them. Do you think your farewell tour is going to be the same over there with them as it would be as if you was with the Cavs? You come back home, it's going to be the feel-good story. Everybody in the league is going to love it. If you jump to another team, more people is going to be mad because, first of all, you didn't come to their team, okay? And then they're going to feel like you jumping ship trying to team up with players again to make you an easy championship again. Okay, it's going to be other stuff to talk about besides just LeBron and being happy and, celebrating you coming back to the land and trying to chase another ring for the city. And if you did win another one, what would that mean for Cleveland as well as your legacy? And does that now make you the GOAT because you won 2 championships in the city that's called the Mistake by the Lake? Brian, that sounds so much better, man, than going over to Philly winning the championship. And they like, well, yeah, he had to team up with 4 other All-Stars in order to do it. So go on, come on back, Brian. And Kobe Altman, you need to be doing whatever it takes to get LeBron here. Being as though you ain't did nothing else. You ain't did nothing else except do silly stuff, do dumb stuff. Way back to when your retarded butt traded Kyrie Irving. So you for sure, any stuff you're gonna have to do, you for sure gotta talk to LeBron. Okay? Because I know that didn't go over well with LeBron. Dan Gilbert probably talking to him like, hey, you better talk to LeBron before you get to doing anything, buddy. Okay? Because LeBron will get you up out of here. Okay? That's how much LeBron mean to the Cavs in the city of Cleveland. If Brian say Kobe Altman gotta go, we are all type of petition. I'ma sign it too, because Kobe, you already rubbed me the wrong way. Way back when you did that, but even with the stuff that you did, you know what I'm saying, just recently. You know what I'm saying? You act like Dean Wade was just a special guy. You know what I'm saying? You didn't tell Kenny Atkinson that he should be playing Jalen Tyson more. Then you didn't fire Kenny Atkinson. Then you came out and defended Kenny Atkinson. Man, I'm done with you. So if Brian say you got to go, oh, you got to go. So for all intents and purposes, I believe Brian coming back. Brian coming back. And we finna make another run at this thing with Brian at the helm. We just got to figure out the right help. We got to get the right help for Brian. Because Donovan Mitchell, when Brian get here, it's Brian team. Maybe that's why they was trying to tell Jalen Tyson to walk back them comments that time when he was like, oh no, this Donovan Mitchell city now. You know what I'm saying? And everybody, including Donovan Mitchell himself, was kind of like, it's not my city. I'm just, I'm here right now and everything. And, it's not my city. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's why they was trying to have him walk that back then, because maybe they was like, hey, look, we might have a chance to get Brian this upcoming offseason. There's some rumors, there's some rumblings. So if Brian gonna come back, you're gonna have to know Jalen Tyson. You got to fall in line. And then Jalen Tyson was like, all right, you know what, let me go out here and let me apologize then, you know what I'm saying? Because if Brian come back, I don't want it to be no problems or nothing, or then next thing you know, Brian get me traded to the Brooklyn Nets, or something like that, and I don't really want to play over there. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather play here where I could win some games and compete. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that happened. Who knows? But I believe Brian coming back. So keep my eyes on the watch. And of course, as soon as the Cavs end up making, some type of significant move, one way or the other, we'll be back here to talk about it. Dogs on the couch. Signing off.